Hey guys, I'm Samuel Brokowski. This is the 8th episode of F4. Today will be all about team networking and interaction. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get introduced to our co-hosts. Starting with Adam.
Yeah, I'm Adam Volnikovsky. I'm the one of three co-captains, the driver, and the lead programmer for TechFire 225. I'm also a Dean's List finalist this year.
Awesome. Going to Colin.
Hello, I'm Colin Stiers from FRC Team 1719, and I am also a Dean's List finalist this year.
And Addy.
I am Adi. I was here 2 episodes ago, and I am again from this part of Michigan. Well, yeah. Yeah, and I'm on 226, the Hammerheads.
Awesome. I just realized we had 3 Dean's List finalists today, so that's pretty cool. I also should mention, after Addy said he was on 2 episodes, that Colin, this is his 3rd episode. So
Woo!
he's winning
Veteran.
on most episodes. But yeah, again,
Nice.
let's not waste any time. Let's get to our first subtopic, which is going to be, team networking and interaction at the competition. So this will be districts, regionals, DCMP, off-seasons, etc. Just everything but the championships.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll kick it off with pits. So, a big thing, I think, when you're at the competition is getting to know your the people next to you in the pits and behind you and talking to them and gaining a relationship, and also just going around the pits and talking to everybody. I don't know if anybody has any input on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our team dynamic has changed a lot with regards to that. Up until 2014, we were really kind of closed off, and a lot of our members weren't crazy social. But then we had a big wave of like a third of our team graduated actually in 2014, and then we got a lot of new younger people, and we've all been a lot more social to other teams, and it's kind of really improved the competition experience from like even just social fun life to picking and all that kind of things, because we just started actually going and talking to other teams.
Anybody else?
For me personally, I pit scout, so I basically go through all the teams and I meet a bunch of people and I make connections.
Yeah, so making friends with your pit neighbors it does, like Adam said, really help the social aspect and make things a lot more fun. But also, like, hey, do you have the 1/8" drill bit that we left at our shop? Like, they're the people who are gonna have the, they're the
Oh, yeah,
easiest people to
totally.
go to for
Yeah,
parts and
exactly.
help, or like, guys, we just ruined the robot. Can you help us?
Yeah, like having all those connections. I mean, that's probably saved us a couple of times in
Right,
comp
absolutely.
actually.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, I mean, something I mentioned, like I experienced this year was we gained a good relationship with the team upstate called 5202, and I was just basically helping them revamp a big part of the robot. And I think I spent more time in their pit than I spent in ours, just over the course of the competition. Like I'd be like, okay, we finished our match, let me go see what they're doing over there. And I mean, it's just a cool dynamic. Not only so you have something to do between matches if your robot's not breaking this year, but it's just it's just fun, just
Not breaking robots.
yeah. What are those?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just nice to have connections at the competition.
Yeah.
And that was something like this year. This was different from previous years, and I think part of that's because of the district competition, because we went to more competitions. I felt like I started to get to know people, especially on other drive teams, and like
Oh, yeah.
when I got called for Dean's List, like they were the people who were like, as I walked down from the stands, it was like I thought that was something that was really cool, because it was like the people that I got to high five. It was like, yeah, I know you and I remember you, and that was a really cool social aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's networking is also a big thing, especially when you become part of the drive team, because I mean that's like the most forced integration with other teams. Because I mean, if you don't want to be bad, I mean you have to go and strategize. So that's one part. So people start to recognize you from that kind of thing, and then even just waiting in queue. I mean, you're around usually at least 6 other teams at any given time when you're waiting to get on to the field. So you just kind of naturally build relationships there.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, it's so much nicer to play with a match where you actually know the people. It's easier to deal with like people that you actually know, like the first name of, and it's just
Oh yeah.
it makes your match better by having connections and
Yeah,
bot
totally.
being closed. And if you're friendly, people will remember you come alliance selections. And if you're also rude, people will remember that as well.
Right, and
Yeah.
also like once you get to know people, then you get to know like you are that robot.
Nice.
And so there's like 2 things that like I can recognize people, and that helps me in a match, because I know like if I see someone on a drive team that I'm trying to strategize with, like, okay, I know you have a robot that does this, And if I know your robot and I know you, so it's like, okay, I know this robot has a decent drive team person with it, so I can trust this.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do your teams really weight networking when it comes to alliance selections? I think this was mentioned on a previous F4 episode a little bit, but like, it's definitely a factor. I don't know that it's ever a deciding factor, but it always helps. Like, when your confidence in a pick.
If it comes
For
down
us-
to
Well, okay, you can go.
if it comes down to there's two teams and they both could pretty much have the same effect, you're gonna take the one you know. And
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we do is our scouting team comes up with like a pick list, a list of people that they want, and they bring it to the drive team and say like, okay, go through this list with me. What are your thoughts on these people? And so we kind of get our notes added in there about, oh, the drive team really likes this team in terms of an integration standpoint, and that definitely has an influence. But right, the data really decides the pick list.
Yeah, that's the same for us, but ultimately, teams can help you make or break your pick list.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so going to the next, thing, that's stands. So I never personally been in the stands just because our team's very small. So have any people in this been in stands just to comment on that?
Freshman year, I was a scout in 2014.
So did you socialize in the stands or network at all?
Not really. I have to admit, because you're kind of boxed in by your teammates. Usually, I mean, sometimes you might be on the edge, but still, you're kind of focused on, especially if you're a scout, you're kind of focused on scouting every single match, and then, cheering and stuff when your team's up. So I think there's, at least from my experience, there's been a lot more socialization on the floor, in the pits, on the drive team, than in the stands. And I think just looking generally, that's still kind of the case in general. Thinking about the rest of my teammates, the ones that have the most connections to other teams and have the most networking within First are definitely the ones that are, pit crew, floating pit crew, or drive team.
There are some things like with networking in pits, if there's something recognizable about you, let's Ursa Major was one this year as a drive team member. Whenever we were in a match with or against them, and we did wind up picking Ursa Major. Ursa Major was a team that I heard from the stands that always kind of broke through their norms, and so that made a link in my mind, sort of. Or for example, we have these big light up signs that we made that kind of get us some recognition, because we get them to flash in time with the music and stuff, and that gets some curiosity. So if you can have something in the stands that makes you recognizable, that people will associate with you, then that is definitely a networking benefit.
Yeah, I agree. For me, since I am the assistant scouting lead, I basically manage all our scouting, and specifically this year at our second district event, what we were doing is we paired up with a team that our alumni was mentoring. So basically, I made connections on that team.
All right. Yeah. No. I think there's not much communication once you're actually in the stands. But there's actually communication, from the stands to the drive team when it comes to like the spirit aspect.
Yeah.
And I think that does definitely play a role when you think about other teams. Is like, oh, this team had 900 kids in the stands, and like when we went up, like screamed our name, and and coming from a team that doesn't really have too many people in the stands, I think it's cool to have actually be able to get cheered for and stuff.
At our home team, we had close to 20 or 30 people in the stands at least, because it was our home event. So
But then there's teams like a team in our area, 694 Stiples, who has close to 100 people in the stands.
We have a team in Mar 203. We won Mar champs with them last year. Their sole sponsor is Campbell's Soup, and I swear they probably have like 150 people on their team. Like when they get in the stands, it's ridiculous. They basically had the deciding vote in all the audience selections at the comps they went to.
Yeah, no, there's always teams like that. Like I think none of the teams that we were partnering with at our last competition were too large, but at our off-season competition, the one team that we were partnered with, 810, had a pretty large like spirit section. It was like cool to actually have like people cheering for you and stuff. And I think one aspect of stands interaction we haven't talked about is the idea of like once you actually form an alliance with a team, like to actually go and sit with them. I've always like seen that and thought that was like a nice thing to do.
I've seen teams do that, but we personally didn't do it this year. But we should do it next year for sure.
It's weird because I think thinking back to all the eliminations rounds that I remember, like driving and stuff. I always feel like somehow our teams are next to each other, but I never remember them actually like getting up and moving. So they just kind of like randomly just coalesce into like this one blob for eliminations.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if we moved or yeah, the same thing was true for us this year. I don't know if we moved or they just happened to be there already. Can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to move. So I don't know, like that might be
Yeah.
a thing to do. I think it's just again, making friends at a competition is never a bad thing. Who doesn't
Yeah.
like more friends? Come on. All right, so we kind of talked about this a lot already, but I guess we can speak about making friends in particular with your alliance partners between like lunch and stuff. I don't know. The next thing is alliances.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you guys are like really good friends with, outside of first? Not outside of first, but, outside of events with like people that you end up pairing with. Because I know I've developed some pretty good friendships. Like
Yeah,
we have
no.
we have
Yeah,
like a Mars
I
group
do.
chat on Facebook, and so we always kind of end up being in alliance with somebody. So then it's kind of the hanging out at lunch kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I think back to all the people that we've like teamed up with, you become friends with them. I mean, not
Yeah.
even just because you have to, strategize with them pre-match, sit with them in queues, play every match with them, wait, for them to finish the raffles while you're, trying to go. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of, interaction that comes with being in an alliance. And I think, from this year, not too many people, but again, our off-season competition, there's definitely people now. Like, I know their names. Like, I'll see them at a competition. We'll have a, 15, 20-minute conversation. I mean, that's just, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the things that we'll see more with the district model. I don't really remember any of the teams my first 2 years because we saw them and then they weren't actually at our events other years and stuff because
Oh yeah.
teams from Israel or whatever come one year but not the next. But I feel like at districts, it gets only first year and
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
our
I can
first
imagine
year
that
for
would make a
districts,
huge difference between
seeing the
regional
same
and district
faces
system.
faces every
Yeah.
year again.
It's funny that you mentioned Israel though, because we became really good friends on the Israel team at Worlds last year, and I think like this one girl on our team actually texts two guys on the team on like a semi-regular basis.
We just tried to get really good friends with them because their pit was next to us, and they were crushing everyone in 2015. We're like, "Hey,
Oh, really?
you want to be friends?"
What team is that?
Pick us for it was Orbit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
them. They had
Yeah.
a nice ramp.
They're,
They
they're,
killed.
yeah, we
They destroyed us.
we were at SPPLI with them last year. So awesome team over there at Orbit. Really awesome team. And I mean, they only did Israel this year, but they won it. They have a good robot this year as well.
I love it when foreign teams do really well. Like 1156, the Brazilian team did at SPPLI.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah,
it just
that's
kind of
cool.
annoys me when the foreign teams and like I don't blame them or anything, but when they come on over to Chesapeake District and beat the crap out of everyone, it's like, well, thanks guys.
Wait, how are
Come
they,
in, kill
how are they
everyone.
at the Chesapeake District?
Or sorry, last year
Oh, okay.
they
yeah.
were at the Chesapeake Regional,
Oh, yeah.
and Orbit just destroyed the whole thing. And the Brazilian team
Nice.
was also pretty high up there.
Yeah, no. 1156 has a really good robot this year. They always do. That's a team that like breaks the whole like international teams don't come regularly because they've been to SVBLI for years and years now. They go every year. So
Yeah.
whatever. It's different. Next thing was giveaways. So I think giveaways are always a good topic to get on. Personally, I'm not a big fan of buttons. When people think FRC giveaways, they think of those round things that have pins on the back that you stick on your shirt. I usually throw them away, to be honest. So if you ever see me at a competition, don't hand me one. Sorry. But like, do any of you guys have input on like what kind of giveaways your team does? What kind of giveaways do you actually keep after the competition? What gave you a good impression of their team? What made you start talking to them? That sort of thing.
Don't give me a band-aid. Oh my gosh. When teams are like, here, we really, really want the
What?
safety award, have a band-aid. I'm
Is
like,
that
Yeah.
a thing?
Is that a thing? Wait,
Are you
seriously?
serious?
I've never had that.
that's a thing. And like,
What?
Yeah.
this year it was small first aid kits. I was like, dude, I have a giant first aid kit
Ew.
over there. I don't need your
That's
band-aids.
weird.
And
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not nominating you for the Gracious Professionalism Award. Leave me alone.
Yeah, one team like came around to every single pit at one of our district events, and they just randomly gave out safety stuff.
Well, don't get me started on the safety award, but
Safety Award.
but yeah, no, that's a weird giveaway. There was a team that actually gave us a nice thing for the safety award this year. It was like homemade pouches for safety goggles. It like
Oh,
kept
that's
them from
cool.
getting scratched
I-
up.
Nice.
I would do that.
Yeah, and it has like little clips for your belt and stuff. Like I was like,
Nice.
okay, like that's solid. But yeah, we've had
But
like
it's-
little safety
yeah.
kits given to us and stuff. A
Best
pers-
giveaway ever. We use it on a daily basis in the shop. 1676, Pascack Pioneers gave away these like mini sets of screwdrivers.
Uh-huh.
I think it was like a credit card size kind of thing, and then
Uh-huh.
there were these tiny screwdrivers, like 5 that would slide out of it. We use it on a daily basis for making PWM cables. They've held up for like 4 years.
The
It's-
We
best-
actually,
it's the
that's
best thing
funny that
ever.
you say that. We have a tape measure from them that we like
That nice,
have
yeah.
not lost, unlike all of our other tape measures.
The best giveaway we've ever gotten is Team 3D printed the battery plugs
We have one of those.
that go in the batteries, and they 3D printed them with every team number that was at that event.
That's
Holy
yeah.
crap.
Hey, nice.
Yeah,
And
Team
so, like, with 3D
4481
printing-
did that for us this year.
3D printing has made teams have printed a bunch of cool 3D printed giveaways that have been really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made them on like their amazing Stratasys printer, so they're like really like durable and stuff. I was gonna go into a second what we give away. So like this year we decided that we were actually gonna give away something unlike usual. And we went with wristbands just because I found them to be like more tolerable than buttons and still able to get like large like quantities without being way too expensive. It only cost us like
Yeah.
$200, and we even got like the upgraded version. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see it on camera, but like.
Yeah, we can see 'em.
No, like so basically we have our URL of our website on the inside, like embossed.
That's
Um,
cool.
But then yeah, they're just wristbands. I have a pack right here. And we just have a ton of them that we just gave away to teams.
Yeah.
Another giveaway kinda that we worked on this year was business cards. So I think that's a big thing when it comes to team interaction, and judges even like this. So like here's my business card personally. It works out well. I mean, judges will remember your name, teams will remember your name. Business cards are awesome. So I mean, I don't even know if you could chalk that up as a giveaway, but
Yeah, business cards are still important. Like, I was really upset with myself. Some Lidos VIPs came when we were touring the pits, and I spent a good long time talking with them, and they're really impressed with all the stuff First in general does, like for career preparedness, and like I somehow let them get away from me without getting or giving a business card. She's like, "No, I wanted your
Nice.
money."
Well, do you guys give out robot cards? Like, do you print robot cards?
Oh,
that
no,
was
I know a lot of teams that do, but we don't.
We
Yeah.
keep them in the pit, like on a stack, like when people come by pit scouting, and we give them, and we also give them to judges, I think.
Yeah, we had an engineering notebook this year, like that was like nice and laminated and stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
that was something I like planned on doing, and then the color printer in our computer lab like just wasn't working, so I just decided not to do it at the last second. But yeah, I always like spec sheets and stuff like that, you know, because I don't really care about half the time of what they did at the competition, because I know if we get into eliminations with them, there's usually a way to strategize them in the right way. The seating system just doesn't ever always tell you everything, and unless you have really good scouts, you're probably not going to get the full picture, so specs are always really nice.
Yeah.
So I find the specs can. Okay, so two things about specs. If they're not accurate, I'm going to be angry. So there's
Same.
like teams that give you a spec sheet that like, we can cross every defense solo and score 5 in the low goal every match, we promise. And then you go to the scouts and they're like, they've moved once. And it's like, okay, well
Yeah.
then, like, or even if like, no, like, okay, they can cross most of the defenses, but they can't actually do what they said. It's like, well, I'm done with you. And the same
Yeah.
thing when you're like strategizing for alliances, like don't tell your alliance partners that you can do all this crap you can't do. And then the second thing about spec sheets is please make sure that you keep track of who you've given them to, because if you give me like 3 of them, I'm gonna get upset.
Here's the thing
Yeah.
with spec sheets with me. I disregard anything they say about their actual abilities in the game, and I literally just look at their robot, and I like the actual technical specs. Like, I want to know what your shooter is geared at. Don't ask why, but I care. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing we put on our robot card.
Yeah.
It's got, you know, like what our low gear and high gear is in feet per second, and
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah,
of
we
thing.
did that last year.
You know, that's, like...
Yeah.
And especially this year, like, if you say you have a fully, you know, welded frame, that's going to mean something to me when it comes to robot durability, you know? Say that stuff.
So I actually want to, like, in defense of buttons. You guys seem fairly negative on that. So I don't like buttons in terms of like me. I
Oh,
don't
they're
go-
important.
Yeah, I don't go collecting buttons. I don't keep buttons, but like, there's a number of reasons they're important. Because one, kids love them, and I think it's important for First to like little kids come to our pit all the time and be like, "Do you have buttons?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, absolutely, we have buttons.
Like, no, we have wristbands. You're gonna
And
take them and you're gonna love them.
Wristbands will work too. And like, then the other thing we did is we incorporated Stronghold into our button thing. So like, if you see my shirt, I think that should be pointing. At
Oh,
my shirt.
yeah.
That is like, we put this on buttons. It's the umbrella because we're the Umbrella Corporation, and then a castle set up. And so that was like, and we had that on our buttons and a bunch of other things, and that helped us win Imagery Award. So I thought that was cool. And judges like buttons too.
One thing really quick. You guys do give away umbrellas, right?
No, what?
Ah.
Umbrellas are way too expensive.
Oh, you got to make that happen.
No,
Jacob's team gave away homemade stress balls this year.
made of flour.
We made a flower, and apparently
Wait,
they called them illegal.
Like, I
the
feel like
judges-
you're giving away food. What if someone has a flour allergy or
Yeah,
something?
I don't know. He said it was a bad idea from the start, but
Like gluten. like,
303 test team gives away these really addictive to play with. They're like these like foam balls, probably the size of a baseball. I think we have like 5 or 6 in
Yeah.
our shop. When they just randomly start getting chucked around the shop, and it like
I
his
have
ball
one.
productivity goes down.
yeah, we practiced at their facility like earlier in the
Oh,
season,
yeah.
and we stole one. We just saw like a pack of them, and I was like, I'm gonna take one of those, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
Dude,
They show up randomly all over
Sam,
the
that's
place.
actually we
Hilarious.
really gotta find, like, you know the little umbrellas you put in drinks.
Yeah. Oh yes.
We gotta
Yeah,
get those to
yes.
give away.
We gotta make
oh my
that
God,
happen.
yes.
This
Do
year,
that. Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna find someone and bring that a chance with me.
We were planning on like giving away because we're like the Regal Eagles. We were planning on giving away Burger King crowns. Like we actually got a contact at Burger King and was like ready to get them, and I just kind of like forgot about them. But we're making that happen. Okay. Let's go back to what our actual topic's about. And actually that was the topic. But
Yeah.
the next thing is like networking and interaction online. So that I use Chief Delphi, Reddit, Facebook groups. Tumblr apparently has some crazy FRC community that I'm never gonna touch. But yeah.
I didn't know there was one on Tumblr.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I don't really tumble at all, but
Yeah, I don't use Tumblr.
I don't really
That was like,
tumble.
ooh, I'm gonna stay
Is
away.
that the verb? Yeah, so I'll start with Chief Delphi just because I'm up on there a lot.
Yeah, a lot. That's an understatement.
Yeah, so I'm like compulsive about it. It's bad. I'm like on it during school. I have
Oh,
like
yeah, all the
1,300 posts.
we
and,
do like flipped classroom for physics. That basically means I'm on Delphi the entire time.
Yeah, like I mean, I have 600 PMs. Who else has 600 PMs?
Hold
like,
on, I'm
that's-
pulling mine to check how much I got.
Yeah, no.
I have like 20.
I'm
Yeah.
way
I
more
like
active
20
on
so
the
far.
Vex forums than Chief Delphi.
What happened?
I'm way more active on the Vex forums than I am on the Chief Delphi.
Oh yeah. So I'll just go into quickly, proper etiquette on Chief Delphi because Chief Delphi is great. You can find out a lot about robots. You can meet a lot of people, and you can discuss a lot of controversial things. But the problem is,
Careful.
you got to be very careful
Yeah.
about what you say, because I'm one of the people, that has, reputation beyond repute, and if I read you, you're going to be read for a while. And there's people with way more reputation than me, like, people like Karthik, who has the most reputation, like, Al.
Does he actually have the most rep?
Yeah, so
That's
I've looked at the rankings or whatever. Yeah, he has the top rep. And if you do get redded from him, your thing is going to be like 2 bars red. And that's really bad for your team. Team image gets hurt by red dots in Chief Delphi. The other day, I saw a member from 610 with a red dot, and I was like, whoa,
Oh, wow.
like that's a problem. And I just like looked at his post history, and I asked him why he had it. He's like, yeah, someone redded me because we weren't giving away green shirts in women's sizes. And I'm just
you
like,
serious?
I'm like, you're kidding, right? He took a screenshot of it, so I greened him, and now he's back up to green. I'm like, all right.
It's funny.
People do stuff like that, but for the most part, you got to make sure you stay if you want, when you're first starting, the best thing to do is stay away from the really controversial threads. If you want to maintain a team image, another thing is to stay away from any profanity at all, because that's
Yes.
and stay
Yeah.
away from mentor built robots.
Yeah.
that tag phrase will just automatically get you to the top of the Reddit people, because there's also a ranking for that.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is.
There was a
Um,
post recently about that. I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, it's like Mentor Don, I think, has the top.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I'm
then
trying to think of the most recent instant flame
Aurora.
that I can
Aurora
remember.
has, or Aura. I don't know. He's really up there now.
Oh yeah.
Wait, isn't he in the F4 group?
No, No, I thought it was him at first, and I was like, this better not be you. He's like, no, here's my profile. I'm like, all right, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Chief Delphi is great. You just gotta be really careful on there because people can damage your team image a lot.
So
And
yeah.
So if
You
you're gonna say
gotta-
something inflammatory, make a throwaway.
So plan what you're gonna say carefully and like try and look at it
Yeah.
from different angles. And also, you know, I don't, and I don't know if people do. I don't have my team number in my Delphi username. I know, Sam. I don't think you do either.
no, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're worried about damaging your team reputation, or you don't want to be necessarily associated with your team so closely on Chief Delphi, don't put your team name in your username.
Yeah.
I will
Well, it's
say,
not just your username either. There's like the little tag below your
Yeah.
username
So
too.
actually, my team number is in that, but that's a
Yeah.
little bit
Mine's-
less visible.
Mine's in that, but it's not in my username.
yeah, I don't have it in my username either. I don't know too many people that have it in their username. I mean, it doesn't matter too much as long as you're not saying stupid things. I started out on the forums without it anywhere, just because I wanted to gain some sort of like good reputation. After I lurked Chief Delphi for a little bit before joining, so that's like something you want to like watch out for is just making sure that your team image isn't damaged. And I know some people have gotten to red dots and then immediately remove their team number and like team logo. Just make sure you don't damage your team reputation. Otherwise, your team might not want you on the forum, and you might have to make a new account. And you're not gonna be able to learn because there's a lot of stuff you can learn for in Chief Delphi.
Yeah. Chief Delphi is amazing.
Yeah. Do your teams give new students advice about Chief Delphi when they join?
I personally do. Yeah.
I
Okay.
believe I'm the only one on my team active on Chief
Yeah.
Delphi.
Yeah.
so
Well,
we don't
same.
really-
Me and two mentors and I are the only people that are active. But like when we actually have like new student information, we're like, so there's this thing called Chief Delphi. Make sure you have good etiquette. They kind of run down. They do like a couple minutes talking about it so that no one just gets like some bright idea to go and post a bunch of random crap on there and like look awful.
Yeah. So like,
Yes.
people usually ask me before like making an account, and like they use my referral thing, just because I like having
Yeah.
the little referrals thing on my tab. But anyway, like the bottom line is like it might sound a little hypocritical if you've been following me on Chief Delphi for a while because I've said
yeah.
some inflammatory things at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once you get to a certain level of reputation, like you can almost, say some stuff that you couldn't say, when you first started your account. Your stuff will be interpreted different.
Yeah, that's definitely
And people will give you the more benefit of the doubt. And if someone does red dot you, it's not gonna hurt that much. I mean,
I've just been so careful with my posts on Chief Delphi that I've literally gotten no reputation. No
Yeah,
one
Are you
does
serious?
anything for my stuff. Yeah, I have no one's ever like red or green dotted anything I've said.
Looking at mine, I've got 812 points, so I think that's like splendid to behold or something.
yeah, well, I'm at like 2,500 right now, but like
2,500.
yeah, so that's like
Nice.
at 2,000 is where like you get to top
Okay.
dots. But yeah, basically like my Chief Delphi user profile looks like a Christmas tree because there's so much green and red, a
Nice.
couple gray in there, but who likes gray Christmas?
I have one gray, and I'm like, the dude, it was a really passive-aggressive comment. It was...
I got gray
it was-
today, I
Yeah,
think.
it was
Aren't
about
they
a
all?
thread about banging the driver station. I'm looking at it right now, like the teams that were just running into it. And I was like talking to some people about, losing telemetry over defenses. And I'm like giving this rookie guy really, just decent advice trying to help him figure out his autonomous mode. And this guy just like gray repped me for recommending that he use sensors that are expensive. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
come
no.
on.
Right now, if I'm
We
looking
had a-
at my last 3 reputations, one's green and then the other 2's gray. One's gray because they were telling me that I made a joke. Someone said like, oh, St. Louis is not any worse than New York, and I said like, I take offense. And someone's like,
Oh yeah,
you
I
don't
saw-
live in New York City. And I'm like, actually, I did for a long time.
funny.
And then I also got gray today, not because the guy didn't want to red me, just because he didn't have any reputation points. And it was because Andrew Schreiber posted, on a thread about lopsided divisions. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
let's do it by school size, budget, student count, maybe mentor count. And then
Yeah.
he's like, who wants to be in the mentor built division? I said, sign my team up. Who doesn't want to play with all the good teams? Just because, I mean, that thread was just bad. But,
Nice.
like,
But yeah, I'm looking at like why.
Yeah.
Like
people...
luck is bad sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously divisions aren't going to always be balanced, but yeah, bottom line is just got to be careful there. Let's not spend too much time talking about my Chief Delphi rep because I can go on forever.
How many
but-
posts do you
Yeah.
have? I'm just curious.
Way too many.
Too many. Yeah, that's a good
Nice.
idea. Yeah, I'll check real quick.
Yeah,
I
I've got-
have 1,344.
God.
Oh my.
Dude, you have an
Over
issue.
over a year.
Over a- God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I
I've
joined
been
in
on Delphi since,
January of
like,
2015.
Since 2014.
I feel like we have
January.
to average. I feel like at some point we're gonna do the math and be like, Sam posts an average.
Oh
of
no,
one
it
time
it,
per second.
it does it for you.
Oh.
It's like
Well, post
yeah,
per day, I think
yeah.
is what it shows you,
Yeah,
right?
2.85 posts per day.
Okay.
And that's the thing is, I don't post during really the summer, so that gets a little like during the season, it's probably around 5 posts per day.
Yeah, right.
Is it
I'm the
true?
same way for the Vex farms.
Yeah, I have 3 referrals, so those are the 3 people on my team that actually like are on here. And yeah, professional multitasker. Everybody knows it. But yeah, let's get to the next one, which some may call cancer, some may call awesome. It's called Reddit.
Oh,
okay, yes. Reddit
I am
is like,
semi-active on the Reddit.
Okay, so I'm gonna give Addy the mic on this one because I've posted twice on FRC Reddit, and once
okay,
was today.
so I barely use Chief Delphi because I don't know. There's not a good looking Android app for Chief Delphi. Sorry.
Tapatalk
But-
isn't bad.
Well, it's not
I feel
material
like it's hard to
design.
navigate.
Yeah.
I just
I'm
use
so
the
used
browser,
to it.
honestly.
The
I
browser,
use
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not material design. That's the problem for me. I like aesthetics. So I found
You're a
this really
design
good
snob.
Reddit app. Yeah, and I'm basically on Reddit 5 or 6 times a day, and I use the FRC Reddit a lot. I lurk around in it a lot, and I'm active on it very much. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
What's your Reddit user?
Odyssey one, like I use
Oh,
for
okay.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's the Sky High Polish guy. I've made a couple posts on the FRC Reddit. Most of them were like really thought out longer ones. Like I don't lurk and like, get tangled in like the really low level discussion because, sometimes that gets out of hand on the Reddit, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted like a while back because I needed some help like catting something, and I didn't want to like embarrass myself on Chief Delphi. And then like I posted today, because someone was like talking about like what you would need to like you can like bring a capture card this year for the competition, and like they were like, do we need VGA? And I'm like, oh god, I need to defuse this real quick. So I like was like, no, like it's SDI or HDMI. There's not gonna be separate things for audio. Like I explained it. But yeah, no, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
go into
I
it.
saw that post. Yeah.
Got 3 ups. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it sounds.
It is.
Awesome. Okay, so next is I don't go on Facebook. So someone put in Facebook groups. I don't know who put this in, but whoever it is, talk about it.
That would be me, and basically there are 2 Facebook groups for FRC specifically, and from that there are 2 like Facebook like group chats that there are for FRC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and basically in the FRC in one of the FRC group chats, people are very active in it, and we talk about a lot of stuff.
So are you
Yeah,
talking about the page or the chat?
The chat. There's also a page.
Okay,
yeah,
it's
I
not
use
the
I use
page, not the
Facebook
chat.
Messenger a lot for messaging, like group messaging first people. Like we have a general Mar one, and then we have a couple more that are just like specific friend groups. But like with the pages, I feel like I always get just added to one of them by like one of my friends who loves the pages, and then I just kind of feel obligated to join. You get invited to the Dean's List finalist page as soon as you get it, and then just like there's all these polls and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was I added to that? I don't know. I kind of have a Facebook for like throwaways. Maybe I'll like
Right.
check it.
Well,
but
the thing about the first teams of the world page is there's been some fairly lewd things getting posted there by random people.
Oh really?
It's been a problem.
Yeah.
With pornography getting posted to that
Ooh.
page.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's also the FRC Captains Roundtable. I'm part of that. It's,
Yeah, I'm part of that too.
How doth one join?
yeah, I'm
Just-
part of a couple Slack chats. One of them is our Slack chat that's like pretty active. So there's like 37 people here right now. And like we have like over 70,000 posts on this, and it's only been up
Yeah.
for like a month.
you serious?
Yeah,
Wow.
like maybe
Yep.
a month and a half. Yeah, it's crazy how many people post on this. And it's a really good resource. And then there's another one that's newer. Has about 70 people in it, but has like maybe 300-400 posts, and that's the First Codes Slack. So I don't know who in particular runs that. I guess I could check real quick. But yeah, basically that one's Team 1540 runs it. Yeah,
Who?
that one's
1540?
1540. I had no
Okay.
idea who that team is at all. But
Yeah.
they run that. It's not very active at all, but I mean, Slack chats are not bad. You could always join ours. We're always open. There's a link in the description to go there. But
Yeah.
that's always cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next thing. which is at Champs. So there are, of course, events. So I think the big one that everybody knows about, like a team-to-team social, is RoboProm. That's been going on for a
Oh my
couple
God.
years now.
Did any of you actually manage to get tickets?
I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I didn't even try. I have zero interest.
Yeah, I
They
didn't
sold
try
out
either.
in like 2 days. We actually have 4 mentors that are they're making a beeline to the ticket line on Wednesday to get them as fast as possible for our team because we had like I think 25 people that wanted tickets and we didn't get any because they were sold out as soon as we went to order. Like, it was
So,
ridiculous.
like, do you have you ever gone to it at all?
Yeah, I went 2014 and 2015. In my
Any-
past 2 years.
Yeah, any input on it? I mean, because none of the other 3 of us have attended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to go next
um,
year, but
It's pretty fun. It's more intense than you probably would guess. I remember last year there were like some people like crowd surfing, and there were like 2 girls that started riding these 2 dudes' shoulders in like really skimpy clothing and like running around. They ended up getting yelled at, but like it starts getting
Oh,
pretty
my.
hype. Some of the way in, I don't know. It's cool. The RoboProm course is kind of interesting because you have like people submit some essays and videos, and then they get announced at the thing, and I don't know. It's a good time.
does it get intense like homecoming or prom, or is it like
It's
pretty
not
chill?
not quite that bad. I would say it's somewhere between like a Catholic school dance, which is what I've experienced in school, and like some like an intense rave. Like, were you guys part of the rave in 2014 after Champs?
Oh
Like,
god. This sounds
That
like
was
Okay,
ridiculous. I couldn't
hold
even
on.
believe it was first sponsored. Like, they had will.i.am and his personal DJ, and people were like grinding all over the place, and a dude got sent to the hospital. Like, it was ridiculous.
That's-
Yeah. it was-
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
rave gone bad.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no
RoboProm
raves
is
that go
not near
well.
that intense. It's still like a decent, fun dance.
Interesting.
2015, there was a rave, but it wasn't as intense, and I don't know the full story of it because we had to leave halfway through. But there was a rave. But there was a rave last year.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. I left before that because like we were all just kind of all moody after a tiny little part of our robot broke and cost us Einstein, and then there was some like music that we weren't super hype on, so we just kind of left. But I think I remember somebody saying something about that. But 2014 was ridiculous. Like I think they specifically made sure 2015's was like more under control because that one just got way out of hand.
That's like the school dances. Like they get way out of hand, and then everyone's like, "Okay, boys and girls on separate sides of the room now."
Yeah.
I don't know what school
Yeah.
dances you go to because they are never out of hand. Nothing happens, but oh well. Okay,
I
so
don't
next
go to the
thing,
school dances, but
yeah,
the ones at my school can get pretty out of hand.
next thing is
Seminars.
scouting alliances. So you see this a lot in Chief Delphi right after divisions get released. And that's like, hey, I have like 3 people on my team. Who's in Hopper that can help me scout? I again never been a part of one of these, but I don't know if anybody else has, and I think this is a good way to get to know a team.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like I said earlier, at one of our district events, we did this with one of our alumni's teams, and it went pretty well.
All right.
Do people actually arrange that publicly? I haven't seen any threads on Delphi like that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple in the last day.
Okay.
So I think it's-
Yeah. Our team has done that probably every year that we've gone to Worlds.
Okay.
And then we also do it at IRI. When we go, because we usually actually last year we took 1218s and 1640s robots along with ours in our trailer, and then we scouted with them too. And it works nice because we actually have like a scouting website hosted on our team domain, and then you just like you can access it from any any device with internet access. So it's really easy to just tell teams like, here's the password to that, scout with us, and we can collab on our data.
Yeah, I think that's more valuable at Champs than it is necessarily at other places, especially so if you on Fun this Friday, Greg Nadell from Allsparks was talking about how as a team that kind of expects or has hope of coming out of divisions and into Einstein, they will collaborate with teams in other divisions to get scouting data on the other alliances that they're likely to face on Einstein. And so with 8 divisions at World, there's no way one team is going to scout all 8 divisions. So I think collaboration is more important there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
well,
already thrown around like who we would ask in other divisions.
Like if
for
you
data.
if you were going out into
Yeah.
Einsteins.
Yeah, so I mean, if if anybody wants some of my data, I pre-scouted a bit for fun because I was a little worried about like not knowing teams. So I have the first 216 teams pre-scouted, and I could share that with anybody, and then you could just finish it off. It takes a really long time to do that, which is why I stopped at 216. So that would be 1836, the Milken Knights. But I did quite a few teams, and they're, where they're from, how many events have they won, finalists, what awards did they win, and then like extra notes. It's pretty extensive, and it's really color coded and stuff. So if anybody wants to like finish that off, that's probably a good resource. Pre-scouting is somewhat useful for champs because not too many robots change that much between champs and their last event.
And there's enough data to get a feeling.
Yeah.
So one thing we did this year in terms of scouting, actually in Vex, and I know people are going to yell at me for comparing Vex and First, but Vex World Championship just happened and we sent a team, and only 5 people went to the Vex Worlds. But that's not really enough people to scout a whole division of 100 plus teams. And so what we did is scouting over video feed. So we watched all the live stream of the matches and I scouted here and emailed data back. So I just throwing that out there to any teams going to champs. If you have a bunch of people back home who you didn't pay to fly out because that's expensive, you can still have them engaged in the process by scouting over live stream.
That's if the live stream works.
Idea. Yeah.
I figure they'll get it to work for Worlds at least.
Well, you would figure wrong last year, but no.
Oh yeah.
Apparently this year it's gonna work. So.
Oh, really? I didn't watch last year.
I'm looking at you, Game Sense. It better work. I mean, even though I'm not gonna watch it, actually there for one time, but
I will be watching the live stream from my eyes.
Last year it like stopped in like during Einstein semifinals. So
yeah,
beautiful. All right. So then, last thing, before we of course get to our normal obligatory questions, is stuff like outreach events like maker fairs, joint outreach events. So like personally in our area we have the World's Maker Fair in Queens, and that attracts good 8-9 teams to it. So this year we're not sure what we're gonna do for it. We plan on going. There's a New York City First booth, but they won't allow Long Island teams to go. Just not that cool, but there is a team 1796 who has like a good partnership with the Hall of Science and had a separate booth last year, so we're gonna try to get them to let us in. So through like, and there's also the mini maker fairs that I don't know if they're doing this year again at Barnes and Noble, but I know a bunch of teams went there, and then there's like local maker fairs again that first teams are pretty much always at.
Yeah, we used that tactic at the National STEM Festival in DC. We got in. What was it? The Baltimore Robotics Center, where one of our mentors worked. We got in at their booth, even though the local first group didn't want us in.
So, because there's 411 teams in Michigan, and there's only one local makers fair, we didn't get in last year. We hope to do it this year, but last year...
Does everyone just flood it, like, trying to get in?
I honestly don't know, because I was a freshman last year, but probably. Because it's Michigan.
Nice. Yeah, so that's not a big problem in New York, especially because it's the World Maker Fair. So if you've ever seen like videos from it or anything, like it's gigantic. Like hundreds of thousands of people go every year, and like it's so expansive. It covers like the entire world where they had the World's Fair. So it's Corona Park, in New York's Hall of Science, and it's really 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 big. So like having stuff like there's like the Power Racing series is there. Tons and tons of corporate companies, like Pepsi always has like a gigantic booth.
Pepsi,
yeah. I have a couple of things from them. Maybe, I can grab it real quick. Yeah, so like they do like make your own drink booths. So I have one from 2 years ago. I know it's kind of gross. I'll just shake it up. So like.
Wait, you have it like the actual drink?
Yeah. So it doesn't go bad. It's just honey and cinnamon and water.
Well, okay, that's what they tell you.
No, I made it. So honey and does honey go bad? I don't know, but I'll drink.
No, honey's actually. It's really honey can't go bad because
it's a preservative,
so
right?
sugary. Yeah, there's so much sugar that bacteria just die from sugar overload.
Yeah, and it's
That's
also
like something that sounds like something my grandma would drink.
Yeah, so it's actually not bad. I drink it when I'm sick, which is why there's not that much left. And I'll drink it right now. Like this is not bad, and Pepsi goes there. So
Yeah.
Okay. Weird, like Sam traditional remedies.
Yeah, it's like this 2-year-old bottle of honey and cinnamon on hand whenever it gets
It's not
sick.
good. It never was.
3 parts water, 1 part honey.
And then I have another thing.
cinnamon.
Last
They're
year
meant
their
for 3
booth was not
years.
as cool. That year they had like liquid clouds and stuff.
Oh,
that you can like
cool.
drink, and they had cool stuff.
That
This
makes
year,
no sense.
yeah, so like they were like clouds, and like if you put your mouth over there and like drank it like you were normally drinking, like it would go down as liquid. So I don't know how it works.
How?
They
That
started
makes-
talking about like condensation and stuff, and I just like walked
What?
away and drank more clouds. But like, you know, I
probably
don't
just
know.
condensed in a vapor or something.
So officially, Sam was vaping cloud.
Vape.
I'm
Sounds from the
drinking
vape
it.
squad.
We get it, you vape. No, but like,
Cool.
yeah. So I think that's a good last point. Is like joint outreach is cool. Like, our neighboring team at New York City, we actually did the mini maker fair at a local Barnes and Noble together. So like, we already like knew them pretty well, and there was like no one there. So basically, it just ended up being like our two robots are just gonna like practice together. And like we had an off-season competition the next week together, so it was kind of like legitimately we were actually like playing with
That's
our
funny.
robots and stuff. And then we were like possibly gonna like work on picking them, and then they're just like auto picks. We're like, okay, that's weird. Ended up getting to finals there, so that was cool. We built an entire new robot for the off season, so
Oh, nice.
you know it was
Nice.
because our
We tried to
2015
do that, and it got like halfway.
yeah, we just
Yes.
didn't finish like a 2015 robot at all.
Ow.
Yeah, so we wanted a robot to do off-season competitions and have some success. So
So
we
that's
did
one of
that.
the best things about this year in terms of outreach. Like last year, outreach was like, "Oh, you built a trash picker upper. Congratulate!" Like,
Yeah.
no
Exactly,
little kid
yeah.
is excited about that.
We can
Well,
bring it to
actually-
the local sanitation department.
We used our airless assist.
I have to say it depends on where you went, because we did an outreach event at a local Fanuc dealer. Like, I mean, I'm assuming you guys know what Fanuc is. It's out of Michigan. It's like a industrial robotics. They
Okay,
do like
right,
assembly
yeah, we
line
talked
stuff.
about like that. They
Yeah,
were excited.
and like their engineers were really impressed with it. They thought it
Right.
was like the coolest thing ever.
But little kids, like that's kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
Little kids
Yeah,
are like,
imagine.
I know a lot of people like keep their frisbee shooter robots around like because of stuff like that. We don't have one, so like we're not. It's nice to have this robot that shoots dodgeballs. We even actually, because we didn't make worlds this year, we had it unbagged, and we brought it to a like a autism awareness fundraiser that was like a dodgeball tournament, and like, it was for the elementary school students. So we just like took our our dodgeballs and we drove it around, like shot dodgeballs into the crowd and stuff.
right, that's what
Well,
we did. We
yeah.
did at DC STEM Festival.
Yeah, so like they got really excited, like catching the dodgeball and then throwing it back, and like
Right, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
chasing it around the gym trying to intake it. Like it's fun,
So what
Yeah,
we
so
did
we
this
have
year-
our own FLL comp. We host our own FLL competition. So we basically just use our aerial assist bot, and then we just throw balls.
the whole day.
Yeah, all we did last year with our robot is we called it the spring string thing, but it was a thing that shot out to grab cans. And so what we would do is we would put two totes and then put a can on top of it, and then have kids drive up and use the can grabber to punch the can off the stack. That made them excited.
Here's an interesting
Nice.
question. I always want to hear what other people's input on this is. Do you let kids drive your robot?
Yes, generally,
Yes.
but be very careful. So we had probably a 5 foot by 5 foot spot at the DC STEM Festival, and we let kids drive it, and they tried to drive it off through a crowd of demonstrators.
Oh
and
my
we,
God.
like, had to rip the controller out of their hand. And this
Nice.
kid was like, he did not want to let go. It was
No,
scary.
no, we don't let them drive it. But in 2014, we got invited to this thing. It was called like Wingstock, right? So it was all about wings, like barbecue wings.
Oh.
And they
I'm
they
so-
called us up and like they asked us, can you guys do a demo at this? And we're like, yeah, but what do you want us to do? And they're like, can your robot shoot rubber chickens? And luckily, this was in 2014, so we had a catapult, and we're like, yeah, I guess we could put a rubber chicken on there. So they sent us all these rubber chickens, and we just tested it to make sure it works. And we made this game where like you restricted the control of the robot to only turn, so they could like change the angle of the robot, and then they would have to like shoot the chickens into hula hoops that were all around the place, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Like last year, for off season bot, I don't really think giving them the ability to actually drive it is a good idea, but operating it is usually decently safe.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
if they
that's-
have limit switches in place, like to stop people from doing bad things. And like we just basically gave them power to lift things up. So I would drive up to a tote, and then I'd be like, "Go up," and they would press like the up, and it would go up.
Right, so that's what we're doing this year. Actually, the DC thing, because we couldn't let them drive it. We let them. We just didn't tell them that moving the joystick actually did anything. We just showed them the buttons to spin the wheels in and spin the wheels out. So we just let them pick the ball up and shoot the ball out, and that was cool for them.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. We're gonna map it to 2 controllers and then just give them the ability to intake and shoot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's so. I know that Jordan said that to hold the controls with them. Colin said that the kid had a death grip. Another thing is we have like an e-stop that's actually a button, and I recommend like other teams get one. I think Andy Mark sells them, and just have one on your foot. So if like a kid starts getting like really out of control, you can just like kick it and like.
Well, so what we need is what I was thinking we should get is like a temporary disable button. So it's like while I'm holding this button, none of the other controls do anything. So that instead of trying to like rip the control out of a kid's hand, I can just press a button to stop.
Why
it.
not just disable the robot?
Well, because then I have to restart it.
Right, because you have to.
Oh no, but like just not e-stop, but like hit enter on the keyboard.
Right, because then you have to re-enable it. It like.
All right.
I was because I
Something
do
really
hold the controller.
temporary.
Right, like one of the trigger buttons on the controller, because I do hold the controller with them to hold
Yeah.
that button down until you're ready to have them do something.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
good idea.
true. That's true.
And I
Makes
think,
sense.
I think the coolest part of like again another like a joint outreach thing is like driving other people's robots. So like when I went to Maker Faire
That'd be
last
fun.
year, I drove everybody's robots. So like the only thing that like was like ended up not letting me drive it. It wasn't because of the kids. Like the mentor was just like, give the little kids a try. I'm like, there's no little kids here.
Just squat down. I am a
Yeah,
little
so
kid.
like they didn't let me drive it, but like most teams did. Like 694 let me drive their robot. 2601 let me drive their robot. 1796 let me drive their robot, and it was just like fun to like play with other people's robots and like try them out. And then I was like driving around and be like, so this is what caused like this in this match, and like you can like tell like their little like
flaws in the
unique like
system.
flaws that like you
Yeah.
wouldn't actually notice unless you started driving it. It was just kind of cool.
That'd be something cool to do, like to arrange an off-season event where it would be like 1v1 robots on
Robot
a small
swap.
field, and yeah, you have to drive your opponent's robot.
That
Oh
was
my
funny
God.
because the Mar District Championship winner 1257, they were practicing with us at 303 facility, and we decided as a joke to like log into their like sign. They weren't connected to their robot and they were using Xbox controllers, and we were right next to
Right.
them. And I noticed they were disabled, so I connected to their robot and like enabled and just like moved a little bit, and they freaked
That's
out.
hilarious.
I would have freaked out too. I would have like
Yeah.
thrown something at you.
So that was great. Don't do that. Especially like, cause like I didn't know I just pressed the trigger button and like who knows, that trigger button can like self-destruct or something. Like I don't really
Yeah,
know
right.
what it's supposed to
Totally.
do, but like it probably wasn't the best idea. But it was kind of like a rash. Like, ooh, I see their robot network right now and I can connect to it, so I'm doing it. And our robot was like having a lot of trouble with the fact that there was like 3 other robots on in there. So like it wasn't even like connecting. So
Well, that was like a phase when we were trying out other drivers and operators this year. It was like, whatever you do, don't press the red button. And then, like, press the red button. And so, like, for us this year, it was PID control to move the arm to a preset, but
Yeah.
the pod
No.
was not connected, so the arm just tried to go into the ground as hard as possible.
Yep.
And so we were like, the one thing we told you not to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
We like broke our potentiometer mount, so we just like
So many times we did that.
yeah. So we're just like okay, we had like we had a button like that, and we unmapped it. We're like, this is not safe to have here.
Don't trust them.
I don't think we had anybody like asked to drive a robot at the competition. We've had to have like sponsors and stuff. We did a demo for the Board of Education, and they asked like, hey, can like we drive a robot? And we were on a stage, so I was just like, no, like when you're on a stage, like
Right,
there's
right.
just too much of a risk to
Yeah.
drive off the stage. And
Yeah.
like
Great thing. If you
Hey, it wouldn't
can-
be much worse than your scaler failing.
Oh,
true.
Our scaler failed at the worst time ever.
Maybe not though, because like our stage is like a 5-foot drop off, and like if you're driving off of it, like
Oh,
it's
wow,
gonna
that's
go
actually- yeah.
vroom, and like
Yeah.
tip down. Whereas if you fall like down straight vertically, like it'll probably fall onto his like bottom.
That's true.
Our robot drove
Unless
off
you're
a car
148 at
accident.
Waterloo.
True. Oh
Our robot-
man.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah.
2013 falls. Those were like really bad.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
our
this
robot
year
drove off the car and
semifinals, like
survived.
yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. In like
Yeah.
the last semifinal match, like a rookie team with an extended wall was trying to park under 148 while they were scaled, and they
Yeah.
like scale with like their drivetrain
no.
facing
Yeah.
parallel to the
Yeah.
ground, and like
I thought that wasn't legal, right?
It was bad.
Right.
Oh no.
Like it worries me so.
No.
Whenever I see someone like trust someone scale that much, I'm like, no, don't do it. Like, please don't. It scares me because like if that robot falls, like they're both broken. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Shut
never
up.
had a working climber, but if we did, it would cause me so much stress.
Yeah,
would-
we have a climber that works. We just haven't mounted it. I think we're gonna do it for our off-season competitions. We're doing one in June and one in November, and I want to add one on. There's enough. And I'm also volunteering at Midnight's off-season, so I don't know if anybody here goes there.
At Midnight Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yeah, every
That's fun.
time.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there.
All right.
We've gone to all of
Yeah,
them.
I'm trying to get them to allow me to be a ref, so I'm gonna make sure to call some fouls in your robot. Oh, and now
Oh.
no longer a ref.
Oh.
Someone's God, Jacob's team fell off this year, and the whole Xfinity Center went dead quiet. Yeah, I can imagine. There was the only robot that really like climbed like normal, like every match at our event was our alliance partner, and they never did fall, so that was nice.
That's nice.
Um,
We climbed in the match that we won Marchamps this year in, and then for the we took a picture right afterwards of the drive teams around the tower, and I sat under the robot. It's a pretty
Oh my
good picture.
god.
No, that's like, have you ever had someone else driving the robot and you stood in front of it and they drove towards you? Like, it's the scariest.
Oh, yeah,
because you
yeah.
don't know when this thing is gonna stop, and it'll hurt if it runs into you.
Well, that's like when our robot drove off the cart this year. I was in front
Wait,
of
what?
it.
That happened?
Oh yeah, it happened twice. Not for.
No, wait. It's like-
Okay, so we have this wooden structure that goes under our robot, so the wheels can't touch anything when it's on the cart.
yeah.
Well, we really wanted to get to work because we knew we had things to do, and so we were just kind of wanted to get rocking and rolling. So we hadn't unloaded the wooden thing yet from the trailer. So we just had the robot on the cart, and we said, "Hey, programmers, enable the robot," and they enabled in autonomous instead of teleop, and it drove off the cart.
Oh.
And I was in front of it, and I was able to stop the robot before it killed me. And part of that was because it was tethered with a cable, and so once it drove away, the cable didn't come with it. That was scary. And then, so the same thing happened to another team at the district championships, and one of their members sustained a severe injury.
Someone lost a finger, right, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
it was the-
I know
Really?
that. Yeah.
lost the first joint on a finger.
Yeah.
Oh, holy crap!
Oh.
Don't try to catch falling robots with
No,
drive
Yeah.
chains.
I think I would still probably try to catch it. I know it's a bad
I
idea,
know,
but
I would too. I totally would.
Yeah.
don't
I would too, yeah.
I'm not gonna be hypocritical and say I wouldn't do it because I totally would.
But for all the safety advice, don't catch it. Oh my god.
If you're
I
trying to win
would,
the
but
safety
don't.
award, yeah, I know that I've never had a robot fall off our cart. Our cart, the cart that we have now, it's the base of it's really small, so the wheels will hang off the sides, which makes it so you'll never have that issue. By the way, hydraulic lift cart, highly recommended. But
Dude, yes.
yeah.
Oh, we've had one
I-
forever. It's the best thing ever.
yeah, so we bought one this year. It's beautiful. But yeah, that's nice. Never had it drive off the cart. I have driven in to the to a person before. So when we were testing in my basement, so we were doing practices in week 6. So we just had the robot at my house, and it was literally down in my basement. And I went to test some parts of the shooter, and we had 2 controllers connected at the moment. One wasn't active, and the other was. And I picked up the one that I thought was active and sat down on the controller
Oh, no.
that was
Oh.
active, and the robot went boom, and then ran into our programmer, who then ran into my TV console and was pinned up against it. He's like, "Stop!" And I hit the E-stop, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Tim."
Oh no.
See, I've never driven a robot into anybody, but I have actually at one of our district events. I think it was at Westtown, or no, I think it was at Springside. Somebody was testing an auton going over a defense, and we were this practice field was really small, so we were all kind of trying to get cramped in there and do stuff at the same time. So my operator's standing there, and we're focusing on the tower, and then they had the defense platform out by where he's standing, and so they go over, but I think it was the moat, so they got skewed, and they fly off the defense tower and run into him and swipe his legs out. So
Yeah,
he
no.
fell onto their robots,
Oh.
onto their robot, and caught himself, and he was all right, but it was really bad.
We had an 8th grader comes down to our facility. One of the kids, one of our members, younger brothers, and he was not aware of the fact that we were practicing. He just walked in, and he just walked right into our robot while we were shooting, and it just hit him in the legs, and he fell over. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But yeah. Anyway, we are 4 minutes over time, and we're not talking about anything productive. So thank you guys for watching this episode of F4. Going into episode 9, it's gonna be season 2. We're gonna have a brand new logo, brand new branding, hopefully a website. I don't know. We're not gonna have an episode at Worlds, but it will be right after Worlds. I don't remember the topic, but I can find out right now. So anyway, guys, thank
It's
you guys
team
for watching.
sustainability, I believe.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed, Addy. That's good. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time. Everybody say bye.
Goodbye. Bye.